Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we cut through the noise, all the articles, and the research to get you the essential insights you need fast. So today, we are tackling a massive, really complex challenge, and it's one that so many of you have actually asked about.
Right.
How do you stop feeling so overwhelmed by learning English and, actually achieve real conversational fluency? If you're that high-achieving learner trying to gain knowledge quickly, but you feel bogged down by, endless grammar drills or vocabulary lists that just seem to vanish overnight.
Yeah.
This deep dive is for you. It's your shortcut to finding some real momentum.
Exactly. We've spent a lot of time analyzing the hard-earned wisdom from successful learners, real people, and also leading language acquisition experts. And these sources, they give you a complete roadmap.
A roadmap, okay.
Yeah, covering the technical skills like vocabulary retention, pronunciation, but also, and I think this is maybe more important, how to overcome the emotional hurdles, that paralyzing fear of speaking.
Oh, that struggle is so universal. You're in a meeting or you're just trying to watch a show and you suddenly realize you're only understood, every third sentence?
Well, right. Yeah.
Or the big one, you get asked a simple question in an interview and your mind doesn't just forget the answer, it goes completely physically blank.
The freeze.
That feeling of being stuck between I know this and I can't say this, that's what we're fixing today.
Our mission is to move past all the generic advice and really unpack the practical, proven strategies that shift you from being a passive language consumer to an active, confident speaker. This is the stuff that creates that turning point in your journey.
Right. Let's dive into the core mechanics here. We have to start with what is probably the most crucial step, which is adopting an immersion mindset.
Absolutely.
It's the difference between seeing English as, a subject you have to pass and seeing it as a tool you desperately need to use. Our sources kept bringing up the story of Maria from Barcelona. Her initial approach was purely academic. She just needed to pass the class. And English felt messy, full of exceptions. Totally disconnected from her life.
But then it shattered. Her turning point was that classic case of FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Right.
Every catchy song, every viral trend on social media, every trip she wanted to take, it all suddenly required English. And the final wake-up call was this disastrous trip to London where she just felt completely lost.
And that intense frustration, that's often
The fuel. It's the fuel you need for that serious commitment.
And what she did next was so smart. She completely ditched the traditional grammar book approach and just forced immersion.
How did she do that?
She went straight to her favorite media movies and TV shows, and she kind of worked the system. Start with subtitles in her native language, Spanish, then switch to English subtitles, and then eventually, no subtitles at all.
That transition from English subtitles to no subtitles is brutal. It is so hard.
It is.
Maria specifically mentioned having to rewind clips multiple times just to grasp a single sentence. And we really want to stress that this struggle it's necessary. It's what trains your ear to the rhythm and the intonation of native speech, which is just as important as the words themselves.
Absolutely. And she even found a way to make pronunciation less intimidating. She used music.
Oh, that's a great one.
Singing along to songs she loved was this low-stakes way to practice new sounds and just sort of internalize vocabulary naturally. It forces you to match the cadence of the language, which often doesn't line up with how words look on the page.
And here's where it gets really interesting when you dive into the technical challenges. Maria and other learners, they all cited phrasal verbs as causing this immediate cognitive overload.
Yes.
And we looked into why this happens. It's because you can't rely on direct translation. The meaning isn't in the verb alone. It's in the relationship between the verb and the little word after it, the particle.
It's that visual element that trips people up, I think. If I say look up means to search, you can kind of memorize that. But if I say call off, meaning to cancel, trying to understand how the word off relates to canceling a date is, it's just impossible through logic alone.
Exactly. Or take bring up. You mentioned this one can mean to mention a topic, but it can also mean to raise a child. The nuance is huge. A good strategy here is visualization. If you learn put up with, meaning to tolerate, try to visualize physically holding something difficult up. That connection helps stabilize the abstract meaning.
So that context, that visualization is way more useful than just a dictionary definition.
Far more useful.
That difficulty leads us right to the biggest confidence killer, the fear of speaking, or what our sources call the blank mind syndrome.
What's fascinating here is the mechanics of why you freeze. It's not just shyness, it's severe cognitive overload. When you try to speak, your brain is running this triple process all at once, assembling grammar, retrieving vocabulary, and formatting pronunciation. That demands enormous processing power. And when pressure hits, like an unexpected question, the whole system just short circuits. It's like trying to render a 4K video on a computer from 1998. It just crashes.
That analogy is perfect. It explains why it feels physically impossible to form words. So the immediate practical strategy the sources recommend for this is building a safety net, preparing some go-to phrases to buy yourself time.
And these aren't just filler words. They're conversational pauses that sound intentional and polite. Things like, oh, let me gather my thoughts for a moment, or that's a great question, I want to answer it precisely.
Okay, but it isn't saying, let me think about that for a moment, actually more awkward than just taking a silent breath. Do the sources talk about how to deliver these phrases naturally?
That's a great point. And yes, they do. They stress that the nonverbal communication is vital. You have to combine the phrase with strong eye contact, maybe a slight nod, signaling you're engaged and preparing a real answer. It shifts the perception from, I forgot the word, to, I am considering this deeply.
That reframing is crucial.
Oh.
And we have to address the fear of mistakes directly.
Yes.
Because the sources highlight that mistakes aren't failures. They're actually high-power memory anchors.
They shared this great story of a learner who, after a big American dinner, tried to say, I'm full, but he accidentally said, I'm full.
Oh, no.
And the laughter, the jokes, his friends playfully calling him fool for the rest of the day, while it was embarrassing in the moment, it instantly burned the difference between full and fool into his memory forever. That emotional context makes the recall effortless.
So the key takeaway is that emotional context, even a negative one like embarrassment, acts as a powerful memory anchor.
Exactly. And for lower pressure practice, the strategy is so simple, but people rarely use it.
Right.
Start an internal monologue. Narrate your day in English. Okay, now I'm brewing the coffee. I need to check my email before I head out. It builds comfort with sentence construction without any fear of judgment. It's like scaffolding for a real conversation.
And once that internal comfort is there, the next step is finding supportive external environments. Things like online language exchange communities.
Yes, and the key thing here, which is often so reassuring, is that the vast majority of people you'll meet are patient and empathetic. They're learners too. They appreciate the effort. They are not expecting perfection.
So once a learner has built that comfort through immersion and that low pressure practice, the challenge shifts. It goes from survival to refinement.
Right.
This is where you need more advanced technical techniques to get past that plateau. Let's start with a really powerful one called shadowing.
Shadowing is incredibly effective for fine-tuning your pronunciation and rhythm. What you do is you listen to a short clip, and the experts say start with clips under 30 seconds.
Why so short?
Because your brain needs to focus on sound production, not translation. If the clip is too long, you just revert to translating in your head and the benefit is lost. You are literally just focusing on the sound and forcing your mouth to reproduce it, paying attention to the musicality of the language. It's a physical exercise as much as it is a mental one.
And then there's vocabulary acquisition, that eternal struggle. And you learn 20 words one week and forget 15 of them by the next.
To fight that forgetting curve, we have 3 essential strategies. First is the vocabulary journal, but with a critical twist. You have to write down the new word with the exact sentence it was used in. Context is everything.
So not just meticulous or careful.
No. You write, the architect was meticulous about the blueprint details. That anchors the meaning so much more effectively.
Okay, strategy 2 relies on technology. Spaced repetition systems like the app Anki.
Precisely. These systems are scientifically designed to defeat the forgetting curve. The system tracks how well you remember each word. If you recall it easily, the app waits longer, say a week before showing it to you again. If you struggle, it brings it back right away. This forces active recall just before you're about to forget it, which maximizes retention.
That active recall is the secret sauce. And the third strategy is about personal connections.
Yes, creating vivid, memorable associations. If you're learning a new word, link it to a specific person or place in your life. Learning fastidious, maybe you think of that exceptionally organized friend you have. I remember learning flummoxed because I pictured my flustered history teacher. That emotional link works so much better than rote repetition.
So once these tools are internalized, the rhythm from shadowing, the context from journaling, the retention from apps, the real challenge shifts from mechanics to meaning.
And that's where we enter the intermediate stage of conversational dynamics. This is our final section.
Right. At the B1 and B2 level, it's not enough to just exchange facts anymore. You have to communicate emotional depth, tell a story, manage social interaction gracefully.
Let's look at that conversation between David and Sarah about Jennifer finding an apartment. A beginner would say, Jennifer found an apartment, she was happy.
Very basic.
But the intermediate speaker, Sarah, provides the whole arc, the depth. She explained Jennifer was feeling incredibly overwhelmed because the rental market was so hectic. She painted a scene where Jennifer was exhausted, sitting in a cafe only because she forgot her lunch. That small detail set up the huge coincidence overhearing someone who needed to transfer a lease.
That's the difference. The intermediate speaker uses high context vocabulary, hectic, overwhelmed, coincidence, to weave a narrative, not just report data. And David's role as the active listener was so critical.
Absolutely. He didn't just nod. He used phrases that validated the story, like, that sounds overwhelming, or wow, that sounds like it's going somewhere interesting. That keeps the flow natural. It's a collaboration, not a verbal tennis match.
Okay, now let's go to the highest level of complexity, handling sensitive topics. We have this example of Jake and Emma discussing Jake's sudden pay cut. This requires a whole different level of vocabulary and careful assertiveness.
Jake was initially reluctant to bring it up because he felt shame, so he just retreated. He subtly started declining Emma's expensive invitations. But Emma, because she was paying attention to his behavior, not just his words, she noticed the pattern. And she is the one who started the conversation.
And the sources stressed that the resolution required assertiveness, that confident, direct, but not aggressive communication style.
Right. Jake needed to articulate his financial needs clearly, and Emma needed to be assertive about their friendship and collaboratively solve the problem.
And the solution was perfect.
It was. They realized they cared more about spending time together than the venue, so they moved the expensive birthday dinner to a casual, home-cooked meal. This just demonstrates that mastery of language is really about mastery of human relationships. It's using words like reluctant and assertive not as definitions, but as tools to navigate delicate social situations.
Wow, what an eliminating journey. From Maria's immersion to Jake and Emma mastering a sensitive conversation, the theme is just consistency and emotional engagement.
So to recap the essentials for you, embrace active immersion, force your listening comprehension, prepare those conversational safety nets, the go-to phrases, to buy time when your mind goes blank, and practice them with confident delivery.
And to defeat that forgetting curve, use spaced repetition, use contextual journals for your vocabulary.
And finally, focus your practice on emotional depth and storytelling. That's the true mark of intermediate fluency.
And please remember the final advice from all the experts. Be patient, practice a little bit every single day, and never ever be afraid to make mistakes. They create powerful memory anchors that are essential for fluency.
We saw how Jake's reluctance to be assertive almost damaged a close friendship, but his honesty brought them closer. So here's a final thought for you to consider. How might practicing being assertive and direct about your needs in your native language first help you speak with more confidence and clarity when you use English? Think about how mastering these communication styles, it really transcends language itself. Keep learning and keep practicing.